The Indigo Disc in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was honestly one of my favorite DLCs, and now that it's actually been out for a couple of months, I wanted to go over 30 things that I wish I knew before I started playing. So with this in mind, this video is mainly going to be focused on people who haven't purchased this DLC, but then again, even if you guys have played this DLC, you might end up finding something pretty useful in here. So with that in mind, if you guys haven't actually purchased this DLC, there are going to be two parts to it, the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc. I put together a similar video already for the Teal Mask, so I would watch that one first and check out some of my other Teal Mask videos, and then I would come back over to this video to start watching my Indigo Disc videos. Now, in order to actually start the DLC story for the Indigo Disc, you need to have completed the main story for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as well as the Teal Mask story, but you can actually access the Terrarium early. So you only need to battle Kieran once in the Teal Mask before getting a call from Cyrano and Clavel to go to the Blueberry Academy, which is where the Indigo Disc takes place. Now, you also don't need to complete the Kitakami Pokedex right away, and while I do recommend completing the Teal Mask story first, I can't say the same for completing the Pokedex there. And the reason for that is because you are awarded a Glimmering Charm, which gives you more Terra Raid shards from winning raid battles. And while that is a nice feature, especially if you do a lot of raid battles, once you actually end up unlocking the Terrarium, you're going to get so many Terra Raid shards in this DLC, especially after you unlock the item printer. We'll talk more about that later though. Now, while I didn't recommend completing the Kitakami Pokedex right away, I do strongly recommend completing the Paldea Pokedex before you actually start the Indigo Disc to get the Shiny Charm. So the reason why I'm recommending doing this is because there's a new shiny method at the Blueberry Academy called the Academy Special. This actually gives you a level 1 shiny boost on all types for 30 minutes. So let me put this into perspective, right? Without the shiny charm, your odds go from 1 out of 4,096 to 1 out of 2,048. Just with the Academy Special, that level 1 shiny boost. Now, if you have the shiny charm, your odds go from 1 out of 1364 to 1 out of 1024. So the Academy Special isn't that crazy when you already have the shiny charm, but seriously, having odds of 1 out of 1024 just kind of going all around the terrarium, you're gonna end up getting a lot of random shinies that way. I know I have, and it's been so much fun. If you're gonna be roaming around the terrarium, you definitely want to have the Academy Special one. It costs blueberry points to get, and it's really not that expensive. You'll get those back really quick. Now, one thing I didn't really expect going into this DLC is that you're not actually going to need money in the terrarium. I mean, you're going to still need money, but it's just not going to be in this DLC specifically. You'll need money post DLC, let me just say that. Now, one of the best ways to actually get blueberry points is to join Union Circles online to farm them in the terrarium. You guys can actually go off the Scarlet and Violet subreddit page. They have their own little chat, which is super helpful for forming groups. It's still pretty active too. Now, essentially, once you get enough blueberry points, you want to unlock this thing called the item printer, which is going to be available in the leak room. You're going to use this to farm rare items, and you want to max this out as soon as possible. So it's going to start at the most basic tier, but you can actually max it out, or upgrade it I should say, to the Master Ball tier. Now this thing is going to churn out so many high value items, it's kind of insane. I literally got to max cash in less than an hour just using this. This will pretty much fund anything that you need to do in game from here on out. So yeah, don't worry about money, just get blueberry points and then just go farm the item printer for like an hour. You're going to be good to go. Now there are a few other tips I want to go over in regards to the item printer just to make your life a lot easier. So there's actually an option to batch 10 at a time. I did not realize this for I don't know, the first half hour or something like that. So I was just batching 1 at a time, guys. You can batch 10 at a time. It's going to go so much quicker. Now, the other really important thing is that you're going to need Pokemon materials for this item printer, and each Pokemon material is valued differently. So Happiny is a really good one to farm, and Chansey in general is a really good one to farm for experience. So you can kind of combine that together, get a lot of experience on your Pokemon, and then also get the Happiny material. Although, to be honest, there are much better ways to get experience in this game, which I'll kind of talk about later on in this video. Now, personally speaking, I never really targeted anything for materials. I just kind of auto-battled everything just wherever I was going. If I was doing quests, if I was kind of shiny hunting something, I'm just getting a bunch of material just casually playing the game. So if that works for you, that works for you. Otherwise, you can farm Pokemon like Duraludon, Chansey. I'm sure Cerebi has a list out there that has the best Pokemon to farm materials for, so if there is one out there, I'll link that in the description down below, or if somebody comments and lets me know, then I can link that in the description down below. But essentially, all you need to do, guys, is upgrade your item printer to the Master Ball tier, have a decent amount of materials and blueberry points, and you're going to be good to go. We probably should have gone over this one first, but you also want to unlock Synchro mode once you get access to the terrarium pretty much as soon as you can. So this essentially allows you to take control of your Pokemon, and it is so much fun. I do want to give you guys a fair warning though, because if you end up encountering a shiny while you're in Synchro mode, if you go too close to it, you can end up knocking it out. There won't be any sort of warning trigger like you normally get when you try to knock out a shiny using auto battle, but in Synchro mode, yeah, you can totally knock out shinies. I've seen people do it plenty of times. Now, if you find a shiny and you're too far away from your trainer and then you try to go back, this will also despawn the surrounding Pokemon in that area, and then you're going to end up losing the shiny. There is actually a way to get the shiny to stay and go back to your trainer, but you have to kind of lure that Pokemon all the way over to you, which can take a decent amount of time. I haven't successfully done it myself, but I know people who have. And yeah, just want to give you guys a fair warning. It's really fun, but you also got to be really, really careful. There's going to be a decent amount of Pokemon to catch in the terrarium, and they're pretty high level, so they're not going to catch first try. I would recommend at least 100 or 200 quick balls, like 100 at the very minimum, guys, and you can go buy some more later. But yeah, the next thing that I want to go over is to unlock and catch the starter Pokemon as soon as possible for really easy Pokedex entries. So you're going to need 200 Pokedex entries before you can actually start the Perrin side quest, and a majority of those Pokemon entries are going to be from starter Pokemon. So you're going to have access to all 8 past generations, and it's going to cost you 12,000 blueberry points. I know you heard me right, that is a lot of blueberry points, but you're going to need 12,000. And now if you're using the Union Circles to farm these blueberry points, it's not going to take you nearly as long. Now alternatively, you could also transfer these starter Pokemon from Pokemon Home, but I feel like that kind of takes away the fun of it, especially because you can get a random shiny while hunting down these starters. I mean, it didn't happen for me, I'm just saying it could happen. So regardless though, the starter Pokemon do make up a lot of those Pokedex entries, so if you want to get the Paradox Pokemon from Perrin, then you definitely want to get this done as soon as possible. Next up, I'm going to go over some things you guys want to get before you actually start farming blueberry points in Union Circles. So the first things are going to be hamburgers, mustard, and cream cheese. Those are all going to be ingredients for the 4-star sandwich recipes. The next thing that you guys want to grab is going to be a mask as well as some glasses. Maybe some of you guys already have a mask and some glasses just from, the previous DLCs as well as the main game, but if you don't, make sure to go pick those up right now because you're going to need some for the group quests as well. There's going to be a lot of picture quests, and some of them require you to wear a mask, some of them require you to wear some glasses. Now additionally, on top of that, I would also recommend having some eggs just kind of in your Pokemon storage. There's going to be some tasks where you have to hatch some eggs, and most people don't really just have eggs in their Pokemon storage. I personally don't, but if you're going to be farming blueberry points in those Union Circles, just gotta have some eggs ready to go. I would also recommend unlocking all the fast travel locations as soon as possible because you're gonna have to complete a lot of different tasks in different biomes, and just kind of having access to all those fast travel points makes your life so much easier. From a general standpoint though, I would try to stay in the center of the terrarium unless you have a task that requires you to go kind of deep into a biome. Now finally, when you guys are doing these blueberry quests, you can also re-roll them by hovering over them and just clicking A to change. So basically this kind of results in just going 1 step back but 2 steps forward, which is still pretty good. Like, some of you guys may not want to do that, you might just want to complete every task as you get it, and that's totally fine, but in my opinion, I found this to be a little bit more efficient. Let's branch off from the Union Circles now and talk about Snacksworth, who gives you legendary treats to get legendary Pokemon. So as you guys are completing those solo and group quests, this is actually how you unlock those legendary treats. Now as far as the legendary treats go, there's no specific order that you're going to be getting them, it's completely randomized, but in terms of which ones you're going to be able to get from the solo quests and the group quests, it completely depends on your version as well as if you're going to be playing online as well. So I know it sounds really confusing, but just check out my location guide for my legendary Pokemon video, and trust me, everything is explained really, really well in there. I would love to explain everything in this video, but that would just take way too much time, so make sure to check out that video linked down below. Next up, let's talk about some evolution items. There's quite a few in this DLC. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend doing is collecting the Galarica twigs. You can find these near the Coastal Plaza. There's going to be a ton of Galarian Slowpoke just along the beach. You can find those twigs there, they're just going to be the little sparkly items. Now you need 23 of these for both of the Galarian Slowpoke evolution items. You got to talk to the girl at the Coastal Plaza to get them. The next tip that I have for you guys is going to be to not buy the evolution items from the school store. Now the reason why I say this is because you can actually collect most of the evolution items from the item printer alone, as well as from the Pokedex rewards. Basically everything that you need to complete the Pokedex, you can get from one of those two. Now I'm sure some of you guys are going to be confused about the evolutions in this DLC, like which Pokemon use which items, which are the special evolutions, how do I actually do all that? Well, surprise, surprise, I actually have a full guide video which goes over how to do every single special evolution in this DLC. Link is going to be down below as well. This also includes how to evolve every single version of Alcremie, which is not the easiest thing to figure out. So yeah, best of luck if you're going to go for that grind. The next thing that I want to go over is that you guys can actually change your trainer pose as well as your league room design on the League computer. Now, unfortunately, the only downside to this is that you can't actually preview them. I feel like this is a really poor design choice, but either way, I put together a video with timestamps that goes over every single option you guys can choose from. I would recommend using that as a guide before you actually purchase them because it is a decent amount of blueberry points. Next up, I want to talk about the Fresh Start Mochi. So you can actually use these things to reset your IVs. Now you can get these from the Ogre Ousting minigame in Kitakami. So technically this is kind of a Teal Mask reference here, but trust me guys, you're definitely going to want to have a decent amount of Fresh Start Mochi. Now recently I heard that they actually made the minigame easier, so hard mode is not as hard anymore. far. Like, compared to when I did it, it should be easier to get this thing done. Basically the same thing that I said about Union Circles though, just go to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet subreddit page. They have their own chat for Ogre Alstein, and seriously, it is a godsend. It helps so much. Now, the reason why you want these Fresh Start Mochi is because if you accidentally build the wrong EV spread for your Pokemon, this can impact it a lot in battle, so there's been plenty of times where I've actually built it the wrong way and, I already saved the game, so I can't reset it. I actually need to use the Fresh Start Mochi to reset the IVs and do it the right way, and now my Pokemon's actually good to go for raid battles or for PvP or whatever. I don't really PvP that much, it's mainly just for those 7-star raid battles, which, if you guys have completed some of those, they are not easy. Next up, I want to go over an XP trick. So this is actually really helpful, guys. Now, this is kind of, in part if you actually did the Union Circles to get a bunch of blueberry points, but if you did, you can actually buy large experience candy from the school store. Now, you can also get experience candy from Terra raids as well as the item printer, but in my opinion, having it be a purchasable option for a nice, quick, like level 100 build, for example, and all you need is just a ton of blueberry points, that is really nice. So very happy to see that, and one thing that I did not know for a very long time. The next two things I want to go over is how to get some easy Herba Mystica, and you guys are going to love this one. So you can actually get 15 free Herba Mystica from 5 special coaches. Now, as you progress through the story, you're going to get access to the League Room as well as the League Computer. We kind of already talked about the League Room, but essentially, on this computer, you can invite people from Paldea to come over and battle with you and just kind of hang out in the League Room. It's actually really cool. Now, every single one of these special coaches is going to give you a specific item from beating them in a battle, as well as from interacting with them 3 times, or essentially inviting them 3 times. But specifically, there are going to be 5 coaches that actually give you 3 Herba Mystica each. Those coaches are going to be Katie, Kofu, Larry, Time, and Seguro. So 3 gym leaders and 2 teachers. You essentially just need to battle them once after you invite them to the League Room, and then they're going to give you the Herba Mystica, so it's pretty easy. Now, in total, there are going to be 30 different special coaches you guys can get rewards from, so if you want to check out which rewards you're going to get from each of them, you guys can find a full guide video linked down below, as well as in the top right-hand corner right now. Now, this next one is going to be more of a cross-reference with my Teal Mask video, but if you guys have not completed the Picnic Chair Guy's request in Kitakami, then I would highly recommend doing that to get 10 more easy Herba Mystica. The Olive Roll Challenge can be kind of frustrating though, so maybe it's not as easy to get the Herba Mystica, but that's essentially the hardest part. Now, next up, let's talk about the Amulet Coin and Happy Hour. So there are going to be a lot of tough trainer battles in this region, and that usually means a lot of reward money as well. So by using the Amulet Coin plus Happy Hour combo with the Swain Zoroark, you guys can actually make a ton of money just passively throughout your regular playthrough. Like, you're not going out of your way or anything like that, you're just doing the, story battles, you're going to get a ton of cash this way. Now, the reason why I'm recommending this method is because it's a very passive way to get money throughout the game. Like, all you have to do is just throw Happy Hour once, swap to a different Pokemon, sweep the opposing Pokemon's team, and that's essentially it. It really doesn't take that long to do this in battle, plus Swain Zoroark can also learn Hyper Beam, and it's a normal type and ghost type Pokemon, so it benefits from Stab on that Hyper Beam. That is really good to use. Now, speaking of trainer battles though, especially tough trainer battles, I would also make sure to stock up on as many potions and revives as you possibly can, and a decent amount of full restores doesn't hurt either. So typically I never really had to use full restores during my battles, but I would always use the auto heal function after my battles, and I can just do that with regular potions. Now, with that being said, that's basically everything that I wanted to go over in regards to things you guys should do before you start playing this DLC, but there are a couple of other things I want to go over, but they're kind of like mild spoilers, so I wanted to save them for the end of this video. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to go over is that there's actually a Team Star side quest back in Paldea, but you need to talk to Eri and Giacomo, who are kind of hard to recognize, so they're going to be on the first floor to the left when you enter the academy. Now, seriously, I would be surprised if you actually recognize them. It took me a while to find these, and that's why I'm kind of going over this right now, because the side quest is important for some endgame content, but yeah, you're probably not going to recognize Eri. I would be really surprised if you did. Now, as far as how the questline is actually going to go, like I said, these are going to be mild spoilers, so I'm not going to go over the details of what you're going to actually do during that side quest. Just kind of have to go through it yourself. Next up, let's talk about the epilogue quest you guys get access to after you beat the main story for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Teal Mask, as well as the Indigo Disc. You guys can actually get the mystery gift item right now, and it should be available to everybody even before you beat the DLCs, but you won't be able to start the quest until you complete every single one of those main storylines. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to go over is in regards to a secret mythical Pokemon you guys can get, but you have to perform the actions perfectly. So if you guys want to get this secret mythical Pokemon yourself, check out this video right here, but before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.